¿Qué pasó, mi gente? It's Mark Tip 25 otra vez. This is the El Chuco Sportscast once again. How are you doing, Mario?
Doing good, bro. Tranquilo, tranquilo. It's all good.
Well, that's good. Life should remain tranquilo. I mean, in the state of affairs we are right now, it's just, that's the only thing we can do. But yeah, as far as what I want to start off with today, guys, I kind of want to talk about a subject that's been kind of bothering me. I kind of got in a slight argument with a guy on Twitter the other day about the WNBA and how most guys just totally trash and disrespect it. And look, you can have your opinions on it as far as like, oh, well, I'm not a fan of it. And that's fine. You don't have to be a fan. But you don't have to be disrespectful. And that's just the problem I have. You don't like, oh, well, it's boring. Okay, why is it boring? And then they don't really give good explanations. Or they say, oh, it's because they miss layups or they don't shoot as well. Okay, well, there are plenty of dudes in the NBA that miss jump shots and easy layups. So why is that an argument? I can pull up a good amount of clips showing that instance, okay? So that's just a stupid argument. Like, what it just boils down to is blatant misogyny. And the same shit happens with the women's soccer team, the U.S. women's soccer team. Like, they like to say, oh, well, they're not that good. I was like, really, dude? Because last I checked, the women's team has World Cup championships, whereas the men's team doesn't have any. And granted, I understand the whole deal about, okay, well, men are physically stronger in a lot of aspects. I get that. But let's not pretend that these women could not take a guy like me on and kick my ass. You know what I mean? Like, I would not want to play a WNBA player one-on-one because I know I'd get my ass handed to me. Same with a world-class women's soccer player. That's not going to happen. And that's what a lot of these fans need to understand. Like, I don't care who you are, who you claim to be. There is no way you're taking on a women's soccer player, professional women's soccer player or basketball player, and beating them. Like, there's no way. I don't care who you are. And, you know, people could be as, you know, braggarty all they want, but that's just is what it is. They are good at their sport. They're professionals for a reason. And the thing is, oh, well, it doesn't pull enough revenue. Well, yes, because it is technically still a younger league. The WNBA has only been around for like 23 years, right? 23 years since 1997. That's not a long time. I mean, and let's be honest. The NBA itself was not popular 20 years into its existence. Like, there was hardly radio or television spots for the NBA. Like, even the 100-point game that Wilt Chamberlain had, it was not televised. It was radio. Like, they have some pictures, but there's no true footage of it. So let's not pretend that the WNBA will not gain some sort of fandom. And there are a good amount of fans that like the WNBA. And in my opinion, if you are a true sports fan, you will like basketball in any form, especially if you're a basketball fan. That's what I am. But again, I understand everyone has their opinion, but you shouldn't be disrespectful or chauvinistic or misogynist about it. You know what I mean? What do you think?
Well, I mean, I think it's a lot of people are just trying to complain about something that's so dumb, or some people still think of that old-fashioned way of thinking where men will always be superior to women at everything, and that's not true. I mean, there's things that men are way better at than women. Sure, granted, that's fact. But there is a lot of things that women are better at than men. But so, you know, it's a two-way street, man. But when it comes to sports, okay, so men and women more or less play the same sports. But yes, men will play at a higher level because of their physicality, the way we're built. So yes, we would probably outplay women if you were to put like a men's team and a women's team to play against each other.
Yeah, and that's
But
fine. Like I can understand that, but a lot of the problem is fans making it seem as if like just everyday dudes. Yeah, I know there's some good dudes, random dudes that are good at basketball, but to say that they could beat a WNBA player one on one, put your money where your mouth is. I would like to see you do that.
yeah,
You know what
yeah,
I
man.
mean?
There's just a lot of people that like to trash talk. But like I said, but you got to give women credit where credit's due. They're able to do. They may not be able to do the things that they do. Some do the things that men do, even though men can do them a little bit better. But you got to give them credit for doing it. They still have reached a level of how do I say, like when it comes to anything, you're trying to. They've reached a level of mastery to where they can still do it at the level they can achieve. So you can't just shit on women like that, dude. No, I mean, like you said about pro women players in any sport, they still put the time, energy to craft their skill, to craft their body to be the best they can possibly be, pushing past their limits. So yeah, it's like you know, if it's just some random dude that plays sports casually, whatever, if it happens to be basketball, for him to talk trash, saying that he could do better than a woman athlete in basketball, is like, well, like you said, put your money where your mouth is. Let's see. And if you get owned, if she beats you, then you shouldn't be saying anything,
Yeah, but
because, like
then
I said, they put the time just as much as a man has to do it. Like I said, they may not be at the same level when they master certain thing like a man does, but they still have mastered it at their level, and that's something they should be proud of. That's like I said, people just like to trash on anyone, and then women's like, come on, dude. I thought we were over this. This is such an old. How they brought up about that toxic masculinity. There's nothing wrong with masculinity. It's just if it goes to the point where you're constantly shitting on others, especially the opposite sex, that's like, okay, that's not cool, man. There's got to be a level of respect.
well, but see, that's where it's considered toxic, because there's this
Right. That's right.
mindset that it doesn't matter what a woman does, it's nothing compared to a man. But why does that matter? Why does that
It doesn't.
matter? Basketball is still basketball, no matter who is playing it.
Yeah.
And I've seen women make very nice, crisp, flashy passes, like almost a Jason Kidd type of pass. Like, it's not impossible for women to do that. I've seen women with better handles than some NBA players. It's just, I don't understand. Like, there's no reason to shit on something. You may not like it, but you don't have to be disrespectful at all.
No, of
And
course
that's the
not.
problem. It's a matter of respect. You don't have to like it, but you don't have to shit on their accomplishments, or and again, I think it's going to take some time for the WNBA to really get into things. And you know what, I'll admit I haven't really watched as much WNBA games, but you know what, when I do catch one, I watch it because I like basketball. It's my favorite sport. And you remember we used to watch the women's team at UTEP play all the time when we were back home in El Paso. So
No, they were great.
yeah, they were a really good team.
I'll tell you. Yeah, I'll tell you this. When I watched, I support my alma mater no matter what. I will criticize them when they do bad, but I will give them credit when they do well. The men's, for the longest time they've done well. They've had their ups and downs. So has the women's team. But when I was there, my undergrad, I played in the pep band. I go to the games, both men's and women's. Yeah, sometimes, more times than not, the women's team, there will hardly be any people there. Because of course men's basketball or men's sports seem to be more popular than women's, but but I think that will change because of course back then men, they wanted to do everything, and the women were always thought of second. They were always secondary. So women's sports have been coming up and up and up. It's like they're catching up to the men's sports, but they're going to get there. But anyway, there may not be a lot of fans that would show up, but they played their hearts out, and we supported them no matter what. And then there's times when they made it into the championship games, like whether it been the NCAA tournament or some of the other ones like the CBI or the NIT. There are times they went all the way, and the entire Don Haskins Center just sold out. It was packed, and that goes to show you it shouldn't matter, men's or women's. you support your team no matter what, man. So that's why, it's down. It's kind of sucks. Like during the regular season, that's not the case. But when it comes to the big games, it shows. I don't. It doesn't matter if man or woman is playing on the court. They, give them credit where credit's due. They've put the time, blood, sweat, and tears into their craft. Like you said, like with us, man, with our craft. I was always told you got to put 10,000 hours into where it becomes effortless, to where you've mastered it and it's effortless. So, and the same thing applies with anything you do. So it doesn't matter, women or man, doesn't matter.
Yeah, and that's just the thing overall. It's a lack of respect, and it is a misogyny problem. It like just overall, and guys like to admit it's not, but they like to try to admit that it's not, but it is. It really is, because if it wasn't, you wouldn't care. You would watch it and you wouldn't badmouth it. Like, yeah, you wouldn't say it's not a real sport. Like, what? Basketball is basketball. Soccer is soccer. Football, it doesn't matter who's playing it. It's a sport. Like, I just don't understand that mentality.
I think it's just some people just looking for things to complain about, man. They, and then they still have that old style mentality where men will always be superior to women. Like I said, yeah, in some things, but not everything. And when they try to match, of course they're not going to match them equally, but they can still get to the level where it's like, hey, man, that deserves credit. But even then, dude, there's still some women that can school men in a lot of things. And even in sports, I've seen it happen. We've both seen it happen. A lot of people have seen it. So it's like, come on,
Yeah.
Like I said, it's just some people who just want to complain about petty, irrelevant stuff. Really, it's irrelevant. Like I said, you should be criticizing the player when he does well, and you should praise him when he does well, criticize him when he doesn't. But just because but you shouldn't criticize a player just because she's a woman. And then vice versa, man. I'm sure there's some women that they criticize men's sports for whatever reason. It was like,
maybe, but the level of that is not really as high, if at all. That's what I'm saying. It's like more times than not, men's sports takes like, and there was and I'll also kind of say this. There was another issue about women not getting paid as much as men within their sport. And again, yes, I understand it's because of revenue. I understand it's because of viewership. But maybe if dudes actually just sat and watched a few games once in a while, and people like to say, oh, no, it's boring. Bullshit. I highly doubt you sat through an entire game. And if you did, I don't think you're giving it much of a chance. Because I have sat through more women's games.
No.
Yeah. And that's the thing. I have sat through quite a few women's games. And they're pretty good. They are really, they really get after the ball. They're very good fundamentally. They're really good with the jumper. And, there are women that dunk now in the WNBA, like Brittany Griner. And I know I'm going to get all those comments like, Brittany Griner's not a real woman. She's a man. It's because she's really tall and she has a slightly deeper voice. But there are women that do have naturally lower voices. Like that's an occurrence, guys. Let's not pretend that it isn't. There are occurrences. That is a thing. It's not always the case, but there are occurrences.
It goes the same for guys. Some people are like, damn, he's huge. But it's like, okay, so why should it be any different for women? There's going to be some big women out there, man, that are just like monsters and they can ball. So
and then there's also dudes that are like freaking squeaky voiced. You know what I mean? Like, so what? That makes them a woman? That's stupid. You know what I mean?
You can't control genetics. You can't change genetics. You can do men and women can do hormones to change certain things, but it's like at the end of the day, man, it's like why does that matter when it comes to playing a game? Now, like I said, you're never gonna have women and men playing with each other or against each other because that's just a mismatch. But when you gotta give women their dues, men and women their dues. May not be at the same level when it comes to mastery, but still, come on. you know, why we're just nitpicking at that point.
Yeah, but
So
and at the same time, I do think women should be paid more, whether it's because of the revenues or not. They still should be paid at least a decent amount. Like they get paid like what, not even a fraction of what men get paid, like in the hundred thousands, while guys get freaking millions. Like, come on, guys. And don't give me this bullshit that there isn't money to go around. Like, part of the NBA's stuff
there's
is
plenty of money to go
is
around.
in freaking line with the WNBA. You know, and the WNBA recently just got on the new 2K
They're
game.
partners, aren't they?
Yeah, they're pretty much partners.
They're partners, aren't they?
I mean, they're not exact same league, but they are partners. And okay, and then another thing.
They're supposed to help each other out. You know, it goes.
And there's another thing. The like professional men's players actually pay a lot of respect to the WNBA players. I've seen a lot of those commercials, and you're going to get a lot of guys that are like, "Oh, well, they have to pander to people." It's like, no, they don't. Like, if they really didn't want to do it, they wouldn't do it.
Right. Well, there's some that are legitimate and true to that, to where they mean it to the bottom of their hearts. But I'm sure there's some players that think like that, and that's probably right. Some of them, a small fraction of them, pander. But I don't think that's every men player in the NBA. Hell no. No, a lot of them.
I mean, look at Kobe Bryant, dude.
You got to get credit.
Look, Kobe Bryant, before he passed away, I mean, he was a huge supporter of the WNBA. His daughter was pretty much predicted to make the WNBA. Like, God rest her soul as well. But he had a lot of respect for those women. He wasn't pandering. He had legitimate respect. If a guy like Kobe Bryant, who is a legend in the NBA, can have that much respect for those women, why the hell can regular dudes not? I think that's just ludicrous to me.
I don't know, man. It probably has to do with how they were raised or who they're around. That there's probably maybe they're around people that hated women, guys that hated women. I don't know. I mean, there's people out there that there's just guys, men that hate women for whatever reason, and it's vice versa. There's a lot of women that hate men for whatever reason, whatever happened in their lives that led them to hate that. But to think that all men are bad or all women are bad, no, you know, that's you cannot. I don't see how anyone can believe that. So, but like at any level of sports, doesn't matter, men or women. Give them the respect that they're due. That's why I said that. People think this is like to talk shit because I feel some of them have nothing better to do other than to talk shit.
Yeah, and I agree. But also, yeah, again, the whole underlying deal is that it's not good to be misogynist, and especially in today's world, man. We should be past this. But it is what it is. I just wanted to get that out there because I felt that was an important topic to talk about. I think guys need to be more open-minded as far as women's sports because they do work hard and there is good talent there. And hopefully I can find some stuff where I can go watch like Dallas Wings games because now that Dallas has a women's team, I'm excited. I would love to go watch a Dallas Wings game if I ever had the chance. I would love to go see it.
I'd be down too. I mean, I've seen a few WNBA games, and they're very entertaining. They're really they get down. Mm-hmm. And in college too. Like I said, I watched my alma mater's women's team play all the time, and they got down, man. You know, like I said, any level, it doesn't matter that they can play. It may be to their potential, but they can still play for the shit, man. And like I said, they can give men, you know, at the collegiate or pro level, a run for their money. Sometimes you know, it'll be interesting just to see how you know, a good college team or a good pro team, a men's team and a women's team go up against each other and see what happens. I mean, yeah, but it would still be interesting to see. Okay, let's see how you guys how you do. You know, if they can outplay men, which I wouldn't put it past them that can happen. Anyway, that's just thought. I was like, hey, well, give that a try and see what happens. Maybe that'll put that debate to rest. I don't know.
Well, some people say it won't because of. I'll just go one more thing and then we'll move on. But there was one deal where it was like a younger men's soccer team. I think it was like the I forget the university division for the U.S. men's versus the actual women's team, and that men's team did beat the women's team, but it's a scrimmage, you know. And granted, like I think it was like 4-1 or 2. I can't remember the score, but the fact that the women were still able to score, come on, let's not pretend that that's impossible. Like women are not capable of at least. I mean, I'm not saying they're gonna win every time, but let's not fucking say that they're useless or they can't play. That's ridiculous.
No. I mean, there's things in some sort, especially when it comes to soccer, women have more guts and conviction to get the job done, because you don't see a lot of flopping in women's soccer than you do in men's soccer. That's why I was like, man, and it feels like men have become worse than women. They've become prima donnas trying to sell the fouls. Like, dude, get up and keep going. It's like, I don't got time for that, man. The clock doesn't stop in soccer, so get up. If you're not hurt, get up and get going. Don't waste time arguing with the ref to try to sell the foul when he knew you flopped. That's what I don't see in the women's team. That's why I would love the men's to, like, dude, quit screwing around and just get in the game.
Yeah. But I mean, whether this changes minds, at least for the better or not, I just wanted to get that out there because I felt it did need to be said. There is a misogyny problem in sports, and hopefully that changes on down the line. But that's my hope. Too. But yeah, so what we're going to talk about next, the NFL just recently had their draft. A lot of it was like from home. Players are getting the call and the message that they got drafted. We're Cowboys fans. I mean, we're from El Paso, but we've always been longtime fans of like a lot of Dallas sports, Mavericks, Cowboys, Stars. We also watch the Rangers. And hopefully, like I said, I'll get to watch some more Dallas Wings games. But yeah, mainly we're Dallas fans. The Dallas Cowboys draft, they picked up, from what I heard, some decent players. And I've been hearing on like Facebook and Twitter, oh, this is like the best draft that the Cowboys have had in a while. And I kind of want to just go through the picks that they got and what they would bring. I may not give you every detail, but with the stats that I have, I could see where the potential might be. And also, granted, I'm one of those Cowboys fans that is more realistic. I don't delude myself into thinking the Cowboys are going to win the championship every year. I want to see how they do in the season, like from beginning to end. And once that happens, I want to see how they do to the playoffs. In my opinion, as of this moment, and I've said it in a couple of other videos, if the Cowboys can at least get to the NFC Championship, then that's already better than what they've done in the past 20 years. Probably 27 years now. Like, that's where my standard lies. Otherwise, I don't want to fucking hear it. And Cowboys fans need to shut the fuck up at that point. That's the thing that bothers me. Quit being unrealistic until we see the actual progress itself. You know what I mean? That's just my opinion.
Right. But at that point, I mean, it's all about the process and progress, and at the end, getting the results that we're looking for. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, hopefully, I always want my team to succeed.
Yeah, exactly.
And, it's just for the longest time, it was just the same BS from the owner settling for mediocre coaches, doing the same thing that people pick up on. It's predictable. It's like, no, man, come on. So hopefully this coming year with the new coaching staff better. Hopefully Jones will get his head out of where and see, like, oh, maybe I was wrong. He seems to be, but then again, I don't know.
Well, but also again, his son is starting to take a little bit more of the reins, and he's actually doing a little bit better from what I've heard, from what other people have told me.
Yeah, I'm glad he's allowing his son to step in, because Steven seems to be the voice of reason as of late, and it's helped, because I had a feeling that Jones, Jerry, was being a little too stubborn to where it's just you keep, as they say, the definition of insanity is, keep doing the same thing over and over again and expect a different result. And
Hmm.
I hope I think that Steven has hopefully made him see that.
Yeah, I hope so too. But yeah, so as far as what they were trying to get in the draft, let me share the screen real quick. Okay. So what they were trying to share within the draft, sorry, let me close this real quick. So these were the biggest offseason needs for them going into the draft. So you had wide receiver, cornerback, defensive line, safety, edge rusher, which is another term for, I guess, defensive end. That's really what I guess they were trying to state here.
That's a new
Tight
one to
end.
me.
Yeah, I've never heard it said end rusher. I've always heard defensive end. So, or edge rusher, I guess. Yeah. And tight end, quarterback, interior offensive line, linebacker, and offensive tackle. Seemingly, from what we see, there seems to be, like, they seem to have gotten a lot of what they were needing from this draft. So let me kind of pull up who they drafted. Especially the first one, the first pick that they got was supposedly a very big one. So we got, let's see. Oops, I don't know what's going on there. Hold on. Okay, sorry. It just seemed to be a little bit hard to read. So C.D. Lamb from Oklahoma. It was the first round pick for first round 17th pick. Sorry, couldn't get the words for a second. Second round was Trayvon Diggs, the cornerback from Alabama. Third round, 82 pick was Neville Gallimore, defensive tackle from Oklahoma. So we got two people from Oklahoma. Reggie Robinson the second is a cornerback from Tulsa. Tyler Biadads, however you pronounce that name, forgive me. He was a center from Wisconsin, and a lot of people seem to have liked that pick from what I saw on Facebook and stuff. Round 5, we got Bradley Ane, the defensive end from Utah. And I don't know. I don't know if they decide to keep Cooper Rush or not as a backup quarterback. I don't know, because I don't know why they would pick up Ben DiNucci at quarterback. I don't know why that was on their list of needs. Maybe it's because if the Dak situation falls apart, maybe they go with someone else. I don't know.
That's what I've been hearing too. That there's a chance. Why else would Jerry be stalling to give Dak a contract? So that my fear is that's possibly maybe that he doesn't want to have Dak anymore, which would be, I mean, after all that, that he's given him, and then you say, "Oh, I don't see you as a fit for our team." It's like, man, that would be messed up. So that's why I'd hope that Dak, whatever contract comes his way now, I think he should take it, because I think they'll be losing a good quarterback because he has got a lot of potential, a lot of room to grow. So
yeah,
I don't know.
And we did talk about that in the previous video. So if you guys want to see what we said in there, and then there's also a clip to another video I did discussing my thoughts on the whole Dak Prescott situation. So have a look at those. Let's talk about CD. This guy from Oklahoma University. He's a Sooner. So this was his stats as far as like receiving, So we have like his games played, the amount of receptions. He kind of went down a little bit as far as actual receptions in 2019, but the amount of yards he got was a lot higher. So he's getting a lot of good, usage out of himself. And we could see like the progression of him in the past over those 3 years, and it's really amazing how he's done. Averages like 21.4 yards actually 102.1 yards per game, which is fucking amazing. But I think it's an average drive is 21.4.
Still, that's pretty good. 21.4 yards.
Yeah, and it's good to have. And I think that granted, I feel we should have gone with someone more defensive minded, but again, I'm not in management. It gives Prescott another great weapon, or whoever ends up being quarterback, another great weapon, because now you have Amari Cooper, Gallup, and CD now.
Those are three three good wide receivers. I mean, you got Gallup that's developing very nicely. There's a lot of potential in him as he goes. Cooper, who's a veteran, I hope that he can just remain consistent and catch the balls that he needs to, especially now that he's gotten paid. And let's see what Lamb can do, because I think at least three good receivers, we should be set as far as the receiving core. So,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Yeah. And then let's see, Trevon Diggs from Alabama. Let's see.
Now, I just wanted to ask, us with this guy Diggs, is he by chance related to Stephon Diggs?
Who knows?
I'm
I
just
mean,
curious because
that would be cool, but no, I don't believe so.
Well, it's because they have the same names. That's why.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so like he played all 4 of his years, and he seems to be a decent defensive player. Like as far as solo tackles, he kept increasing every year, as well as assisted tackles, leading to 43 total solo tackles within his career at Alabama, which is really good. So 68 total tackles. As far as the amount of sacks and losses per like a tackle he would get, he kind of struggles in that area. Maybe it could be due to the competition, and I'm not trying to like discredit the guy or anything, but yeah, the fact that it's only 0.5 losses, like in the loss on his tackles, is it needs to improve a bit. And also, as far as being and as far as a cornerback, you really can't get as much as far as a sack is concerned, unless like the quarterback comes a little bit more to you. So right, I guess I can understand that as a cornerback. I can understand that.
Well, I mean, that's not your job to try to sack the quarterback right up at the line. I mean, your job is to
stay in the back.
Is to follow the ball, and keep your eyes on that.
Yeah, I mean, but it would be good to have that other aspect of the game as well. Because I mean, if you're really alert, that's also a mark of a good cornerback. If you're alert and can get to the quarterback, whether it's in the backfield or running up to him. But yeah, again, I'm not going to really hold that against him in that regard. As far as defensive interceptions, he had 3 last year, which is really good. Like 4 total interceptions in his career. And I'm pretty certain it should increase over time. Hopefully it does. Because I think that was an element that the Cowboys struggled with last year. Byron Jones, I don't think was that good. I don't think he was a smart cornerback. The guy would always turn his head away from the ball. He would cause a lot of pass interferences, and and especially when like in that game versus the Packers, yeah, that really ticked me off that he pretty much cost the Cowboys that game in the playoffs by committing a pass interference.
Right. Well, that's why I would get frustrated. It's like I don't know what Marinelli was teaching them. It's like, bro, you got to get those guys to turn around and look at the ball. Look at where the quarterback is going to throw. That's what makes
Yeah, they would always wait until they catch the ball and then tackle them.
That's what I said. That's what makes the cornerback position so important on defense, because I mean, you gotta those turnovers will be so great as far as when it comes to winning a game. So I hope that whoever is the defensive coordinator now, that he will do that, make sure that he trains those guys to turn around and see where the guy. I mean, I know you got to watch your guy, whoever you're guarding, but still, turn around, because if he's throwing your way, turning around and seeing where the ball goes could give you an extra edge on trying to intercept that ball.
Yeah, and on those interceptions, he got like 79 total yards on all 3 of those interceptions, which is really damn good. Like, that's a good amount of yards to get on interceptions, like 26.3 average. That's really damn good as far as a player, and he has 1 touchdown on that. It seems like a decent defensive player. And fumbles, he has 2 fumble recoveries, and 1 resulted in a touchdown. That's a good ratio, a 2-to-1.
I mean, yeah, you don't see a lot of defensive players making those kinds of plays, but when they do, hey, that's a plus.
So that seems to be a really good bonus on the defensive, because that's where my focus is right now. Yeah, the offense did struggle a lot last year, but you know what? The defense seems to struggle a lot more overall. So I don't know. I think if the defense improves on that little aspect, as far as like the deep ball, I'm pretty certain the Cowboys will be a lot better.
Well, yeah, but I would hope that the offense improves tenfold more than the defense. Not saying the
Mm-hmm.
defense needs to improve, of course they do, but I hope the offense mainly improves because that way, not only are they putting points on the board, they're keeping their defense off the field and fresh when they
Yeah.
need them.
Yeah, so that was Diggs. Now we're going to talk about Gallimore. He was also from Oklahoma. In his first year, he was redshirted. As you can see right here, there was no statistics there in 2015, but in 2016, he became he got off of the red shirt. As far as his solo tackles, he did pretty well. He seems to have dipped a little bit, but I guess came right back up on his senior year with 17 solo tackles. But yeah, it's overall total tackles 147. That's not bad for a defensive lineman or defensive tackle.
And we need that.
And as far as losses, like total losses, like yards, that's pretty good. 17 yards, like overall. I mean, like 6.5 yard losses, like against the team. That's really substantial. Because that could be a difference between a first down and not. So let's see. And then sacks, 4 sacks per game. That's really damn good. That's a really good defensive tackle. 8.5. Yeah.
That's
Just aggressive.
That's the kind of tackle we need, and I would hope that all the guys like D-Law and everyone else make sure that because that's the one thing they struggled was trying to get sacks. I don't know. Remember the last time D-Law or any of the other guys were able to get sacks, and they need that. That will help tremendously, and I hope that this guy can be like, hey, light a fire under their butt to do so, because I know they can do it, but they really need to, push for the extra effort.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, overall, I think this is another good player. Whether just depends on where he fits within the line and all of that. So that's who I had. I had the first few, I believe. So let me close this and have you share the screen for the next few. Oh wait, sorry. I had one more guy to talk about. Let's see. Where is he? So this was the guy out of Tulsa, Robinson, the second. Yeah, he's another cornerback. But see, with him, it was a little bit hard to find as far as statistics overall, it was hard to find anything for him. And it just shows like 1 year of his where he was like, he played his 12 games, had 26 solo sacks, 12 assisted, so 38, which is not bad. 1 yard loss per game. I mean, of course, that's pretty good. 3 interceptions on 28 yards. He didn't get any touchdowns out of them, but I'm certain as time goes on, he'll improve with that. And then fumble recoveries, he has 2. Didn't result in any touchdowns, but again, I'm certain once he's developed, he should be better. But as of right now, he's the one I'm uncertain about because he only has 1 year, seemingly, from what I can tell, on his belt. I tried to look at the website for Tulsa. The stats were not pulling up. So that's all I have for him. I hope he does well, but he's the one I'm a little bit suspect about. But anyhow, that's at least for Robinson. So now you can share your the list of players that you had and their statistics, so we can kind of see on that end, because these are the later rounds, like rounds 5 through 7. These are the other players.
Anyway, so we have here our center that they picked up, Tyler Bayadas or Bayeds.
I don't know. I don't know how to pronounce his name.
Bayadas. That's what it sounds like.
Bayadas, something of that nature.
I mean, I could be wrong. So, he attended Wisconsin. It says we got 2 years with him in 2018, 2019, as a sophomore and junior. So, sorry, this is so scrunched. He was, but it says here that he only played 2 games. I'm not sure if that's correct, but this is all I could find at the moment. He was able to get at least 3 solo tackles, no assists. So there's not much to him. Well, he's a center, so I mean, he's not gonna. I don't see why they would put defensive stuff under his belt unless he did play some defense every now and then. But I mean, I don't understand why they didn't have anything. Well, I mean, they don't really have a lot of stuff for centers because all they do is they just snap the ball and try to protect the quarterback that's behind them. So, I mean, I guess they had him play a little bit of defense, and that's all
Well,
he has to
it was
show for it.
mainly center, is I think what they're trying to get this guy to be, because apparently that was a big need that they were needing to fill. Let's
Oh,
see.
well, of course. I mean, Travis Frederick, he was the best center Dallas has had in almost 10 years or so, around
Yeah.
there. And for him to just retire like that, I was not expecting him to retire. But so yeah, they're going to need a good solid center because he's the one that's going to he's the first line of defense, so to speak, when it comes to protecting the quarterback because he's right in front of the quarterback. Without a strong center, yeah, center defensive lineman will just nail him every time. So that I didn't see much on this guy, but hopefully he's got some big shoes to fill, I should say. So we'll see what he can do. So that was him. Let's go over to
Bradley and they.
sorry. Of course, it's not doing anything, are you? Yes. Sorry, hold on. There we go. It took me a while to find ESPN stats because I didn't know this drop menu right here. I was like, oh, okay, well, that makes sense. So, Mr. Ane, he attended Utah for all 4 years. He's played. You look at his tackles, man. That says a lot, man. I mean, going from 4 to 41 in a 4-year span. Well, of course, his junior year he did better than his senior year, but still, I mean, that's quite a lot of tackles. For solo tackles, averaging 4, 25, 27, 30. That's pretty good by himself.
Yeah, I mean, that's a 10 tackle drop off, but I mean, it's not really his own fault. He definitely had more solo tackles overall than the year prior. It was his assisted tackles that wasn't as big, but still, I mean, he's seemingly a really good defensive tackle or defensive end.
I mean, he may not have had as big numbers as he did his junior, like he did his junior year. Still, I'd say there's a lot of potential in there. And
his numbers were still big because again, assisted tackles. That's like if you help the person bring someone down. But a solo tackle is you personally bringing someone down. That's why it's a solo versus assisted. His solo tackles were actually improved. So the total tackles is kind of, I guess, misleading in a small sense. So yeah, he was better in essence than one would think.
No, yeah, of course. I mean, you look at his sacks. See right there. That's the kind of guy we need. Improvement all the way from his freshman year to his senior year. 13 tackles his senior year. This is the kind of guy that we need to really,
push the defense in the right direction, especially when you have like Van Der Esch and Sean Lee, and as far as linebackers to kind of help in the middle, and then you got a guy like this at the end.
I'd hope that he really, just push past his limits, just like Van Der Esch. With him and Van Der Esch, I think it can be very dangerous because who knows how much longer Sean Lee has in this league. So
and then also Van Der Esch, since he already had a pretty decent injury that kind of kept him out. That's kind of bad, and it kind of sucks. Hopefully, he can remain in the league a lot longer, but hopefully, he also doesn't become injury prone like Lee.
Well, he's still young, man. This will be his second year, so I have faith that he'll be okay.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and then forcing the fumbles comes up to a total of 6. Still, that's the kind of guy you need. I would want players to really go after the ball, and whether you're tackling someone, when you tackle someone, try to rip that ball out of their hands. Try to make that turnover turn into
and
points.
Also wrap up. That's another thing that's been pissing me off about this Cowboys defense, that they don't wrap up. I see them just try to hit people, expecting them to drop. It's like, dude, everyone's a fucking tough, big dude. Wrap up. You know what I mean? It's like you expect everyone to just fall after you hit them like that? Dude, no, these guys are all fucking trucks in their own right. Grab them. You know?
Yeah, well, I'm hoping so because that needs to happen. Well, like I said, they were under Marinelli, and I would expect a little bit more from him to teach those guys not just to hit with a reckless abandon mentality, but to wrap up and take them down. Because yeah, you're right. Not everyone's gonna fall if you were to hit him hard enough. Some will just keep going. So yeah, so this guy looks pretty good as far as adding for what the defense needs. 'Cause, yeah, another defensive tackle would be that it's much needed. I'll tell you that. And then now we have this guy Ben DiNucci.
Yeah, Ben DiNucci. Yeah, the
From San
quarterback.
Yes,
He
so
transferred, like he was at Pitt, and then he transferred to
James
James
Madison.
Madison. Yeah,
Well, you can tell right here it was for the better because it's like his numbers were abysmal in
well, maybe it's
Pittsburgh.
because he was a backup quarterback or something, so that's
Maybe
probably why.
that could be why, it, or it was, he just didn't do well. Maybe the school, the team, or the system was just not for him, and went to James Madison in his junior year. He just like flourished.
Yeah,
I
he
mean,
did. But here's my only deal: is James Madison a Division 1 or a Division 2 school? That's my only question.
well,
Because
let's see.
because if it's a Division 1, then that's not bad. But if it's like a Division 2, then it's just like how inflated are those stats? You know what I mean?
Well, let's look right now. Here, I mean, I didn't think about that, but here, let's see. Um,
Division 1. Oh no, first in
yeah,
CAA. No. Let's see. What is C?
CAA.
What is a C? Is it Division 1 or Division 2? Because some of these look like Division 2 schools. Oh no, wait, UNC. UNC is not Division 2. It's Division 1. So,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
then
These are
again, Division 1 schools have been known to play some Division 2 schools. So I don't know.
well, the CAA. I mean, wish they would tell you what.
Oh no, look, cause see, yeah, those are the ones that are in the conference. Elon,
Yeah,
Villanova. No, those aren't Division 2. Those are definitely Division 1.
yeah.
It's just because again, I've never heard of James Madison University, so I wanted to know. So the fact that it is a Division 1 university, that's pretty good.
And they did well.
Yeah.
14-2 this past season, so that says a lot. I mean,
Yeah,
yeah.
I just wanted to understand like kind of the context here before I made it.
Look at it. Right. If you look at his completion percentage, that says a lot right there. Above 50%, 70. That's really good. Look at total. Look at how many yards he had.
That's a pretty
really
good season. That is a
really
very good season.
I mean, his junior and senior
And I
year.
bet you that's why they picked him up.
Yeah, probably. You got 16 touchdowns his junior year, 29 his senior year. Interceptions,
And then, like,
he's going to have to work on because 12 interceptions.
Well, no, I mean, but he improved from the previous year. He had 6 less.
He cut it in half, but still, he's got to be careful. I mean,
his longest yards, where is this? 80 yards, longest like pass.
Yeah,
that's pretty damn good.
That's really good. It means that it looks like he's got an arm to where he can really go the distance.
And see, Dak is really going to have to step up his game. If not, this might be the guy that takes his place. Considering what I'm seeing, and because also look at him. He's also a very good rushing quarterback.
Yeah, well...
or is that the team?
Well, I would think that was...
No, that has to be his own stats, yeah.
I don't think that's him. I think that's him giving the ball to where... Like, they count up rushing yards, right?
Well, yeah, no, but the quarterbacks also have rushing yards as a stat. So, no, those are his attempts. Yeah, I think it might be him.
Well, if this is him, like himself running where he keeps the ball... Then it seems to be 433, 569 is
dude. That's astronomical.
That means he's a really good mobile quarterback.
That is astronomical. Holy crap!
And then getting 9 touchdowns in his junior, 7 his senior year. That's pretty darn good.
Well, then let me see. Let's go back up a little bit. Is that the team itself or is that him? Go back up.
It said stats as far as.
Oh no, I think that's. Wait, is it? No, but it is him. Shit, but see, there's also defensive on there. Why does that show up? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know Well, you know how it is in college. Sometimes you're playing more than one position in college. I mean,
Oh, you know what it is? It's because he had a tackle. I guess it must have been something off of like a fumble or interception, and he tackled somebody.
right, probably.
That happens.
But if you look at scoring, look at how many passing touchdowns he has, 16, 29. That's really good.
And
Rushing
rushing
touchdown,
touchdowns.
16.
He had
So,
9 and 7. That is pretty damn good as a
yeah.
quarterback.
Of
So
course, of course this doesn't matter because he's not a receiver.
unless they did a trick play, but yeah.
Yeah. So, and then I don't know, why did they have punt? Did he actually punt? See, it's amazing when I was finding out more about how college is that there's some people that they may have your primary position, but then you're playing two different positions sometimes in the same game. So
Yeah. But
it's very weird.
as far as a rushing quarterback, dude, he's pretty damn good. Like that's pretty astronomical. If
Well,
that's what he really has as a rushing as a rush, goddamn, like that's a lot of yards.
well, I mean, yeah. So this guy looks like he's got promise. So, but that's why it begs the question. You know, did Jerry want to keep Dak long term? And with this stalling of the contract, I have a feeling that he probably wasn't. And it's like, man, are you going to try to,
Well,
he's still young, man. He's still got room to improve. And yet, you know,
and we'll see
I
what
don't know, man.
happens, dude. I mean, we'll
But of
see what
course,
happens.
he's
If Dak doesn't suit up when the season does start, personally, that's going to fuck him. That's going to really destroy him, in my opinion. If this guy is as good as it reads right here, I mean, again, the NFL is a completely different league. I get it. But given the stats I just saw right here, that's pretty damn crazy, dude. I
well,
mean,
we'll see.
then again, I haven't seen Dak Prescott's stats in college,
You want
so
to look him up? I mean, we can.
we could. I mean, if this guy posts more fucking rushing yards than Dak Prescott and better passing yards, then I think it's fucking safe to say that this guy might actually have been a better college player than Dak Prescott.
Well, let's compare. If you want to go ahead and do that, let's
Yeah, we
go
might
ahead
as
and do
well,
that.
because let's just see
Because
how close he is to getting his ass booted.
Well, I'm just saying, dude, he's got potential, and I feel that if you give him a chance under McCarthy, I think he will flourish big time.
I think so too, but there's a lot of Cowboys fans that don't believe that, which is saddening, but it is what it is.
Right, right, right.
Okay, so let's
Well,
see.
let's
Those are
see. Let's look him up. Let's see. He's 26, man. He's
just 3 years older than this guy.
well, he's a year older than you, man, or younger. Sorry, I should say.
Yeah,
So let's
yeah.
look. Yeah, man, I can't believe it's like, oh yeah, he's only 3 years younger than I am.
Yeah, his 2009 stats were not bad, but
Okay,
still
well
not good.
let's look at his let's look at what he has done so far here in the NFL. I mean, if you look at that, I mean, these aren't horrible numbers. I mean, so look at this
Yeah.
in the 4 years that he's been in this league. God, I can't believe it's already been 4 years. How about that? Completions 1,363 as far as out of the 2071 attempts. It's not horrible, but I know you can do better. 65.8%. That's still good. A lot of room for improvement, though. But look at that. 15. He's already been in 4 years. He's already racked up over 15,000 yards, averaging about 7.6, 97 total touchdowns, which is not bad. But I know he could have had over 100 by now. 36 interceptions. I know he can do better. He's got to be careful with the ball, but I'm sure there's people that have been more. See, longest what is when he does it? Longest pass 90 yards.
Well, no, I think that's
Hey.
his.
Oh, that's total.
No, it is because
His longest was 90 yards, so he can throw. He just needs to get more consistent.
yeah,
So,
consistent with it
and
and more
fumbles,
accurate.
right. So fumbles, he needs to, like I said, protect the ball a little bit better.
He did better. He did okay this year.
Well, I mean, yeah, compared to the year before, yeah, only 4. But compared to when he started, it is better. But and then this is his passer rating, 97. That's pretty good. That's not horrible, but I know he can do better. That's passing. So for rushing, you look at this, 64 out of 241. He can do more with rushing. Still, 1,200 over 1,200 yards rushing himself. And, that's pretty good. Averaging over 5 yards a rush. That's really good.
Yeah, and then he isn't as bad on the run when it comes to holding onto the ball, but still, yeah, that still needs to be improved as well.
Well, that's what would piss me off with Garrett. It's like, bro, why are you trying? Yes, we know he needs improvement at throwing. That will come, but why are you trying to turn him into a pocket passer? That's not who he is. He's a mobile quarterback. Let him run. Let him run. Let him do what he's good at. You saw him in his rookie year, what he was able to do. Let him do it. And I just feel like he was putting so many restrictions on Prescott to allow him to do anything effective. That's why that's part of the reason why they did so bad this year.
Exactly.
I mean, yes, Dak should be like, take it upon himself to do some more audibles like he did, but I'm guessing he didn't want to, fall out of good graces with Garrett or let alone Jones, I'm sure. I don't know, man. But yes, he should take a little bit more initiative on himself. But at the same time, it's like, bro, don't try to make him something he's not meant to. Improve his arm, but don't make him a pocket passer. That's not what he is.
But see, that's a lot of people don't care for mobile quarterbacks as much as they care for pocket passers, because a lot more pocket passers have won Super Bowls than mobile quarterbacks. The only exceptions, in my opinion, are Russell Wilson and currently Patrick Mahomes. He's definitely a mobile quarterback. He has a good arm, though, but he can run when he needs to.
But I'm just saying, I think having a mobile quarterback is a plus, because that way, if the line were to collapse on you, at least you won't be a sitting duck. You'll know that, oh, I got to move. I got to get out of here. Mm-hmm. That's the kind of quarterback I'd like, and Dak has shown it. So that's why I hope that and let him unleash what he's good at, but also
help him improve his throwing.
Yeah.
Okay, so now let's see his college stats.
So let's go back. Let's look at what he did in college.
Mm-hmm.
Compared to this guy DiNucci. So all his 4 years at Mississippi State, 316 out of 477. That's not horrible. 66.2.
Yeah, and actually Dak was a decent quarterback. Let's look at his passer rating and look at his yardage in those 2 years.
Look at how many? 3,700 yards, and he's already put up, 5 times that now in the NFL. Averaging 8 yards, that's still pretty good, man.
Well, not 5 times that, but at least.
Just 33,000 times 5 is 15,000. That's what I mean.
Well, no, but that's not his total. That was just in 2015.
Well, true. I mean, at least it's based on his last year. Yeah. But still, I mean, averaging 8 yards a game, 29 touchdowns in his last year. Look, I mean, he improved drastically if you look at that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it should be about. And kind of see, he's already been 4 years in the NFL, and you look at his...
Oh, damn, look at his rushing yards. Dak is a pretty good quarterback. I think... I don't know, man. I just... I'm looking at those yards. Yeah, that's pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. He's capable. He can do it. Just give him the right tutelage. That's why I feel give him a chance with McCarthy. He can do it. But it doesn't hurt to have also another good backup quarterback behind you to take your place if anything were to happen, and do the same and be at the same level or close to the same level as him. And if Rush is not that guy, then okay, if you want, let's compare. Let's look at Rush's stuff and compare between.
Well, no, we don't have to, because here's the thing. Just seeing what DiNucci is at, that's pretty much on the same par as Dak, and I bet you that's why they picked him up.
Well, if they're going to replace Rush and not Dak, well, then that's good. I'm just saying, just to humor the situation.
Okay, I guess.
just to humor it and see, comparing, at least to have see like, oh well, who would likely do it? But at least we see Jack is capable, and people like to shit on him. It's like, okay, he's got a lot to improve on, but he's not. It's not like he's, you know,
He's not like a horrible quarterback. I've seen worse. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't know they had another one. They had this other guy, Clayton Thorson. I didn't even know.
I don't know who that guy is. I never heard of him.
But let's look at this guy, just for the hell of it. Okay. So let's just pull up his stats. You know, he was from Central Michigan, and that's a good program. So let's see. Oh, he's also the same age. Go figure. But he's a lefty, isn't he? If I remember correctly, he threw with his left hand.
I don't remember that aspect. Well, and of course, because he hasn't really played much.
Right, but let's go ahead and look at him in college just to have a reference point, since he's been a backup most of the time. So this is Central Michigan. I mean, so if you look at his stats here, I mean, they're not horrible. I mean, from going from 56.7 to, well, let's see.
He dipped in his last season.
He dipped in his last season, but look at how many yardage he put up all 4 years. It's like, well,
yeah. So they do have decent backups, at least, if the stack experiment does go downhill.
Right, but when it comes to at least mobile, he's not very good at moving, because he's got quite a few. Look at his attempted yards, but look at how many yards that he's lost. He's trying to rush himself. I need to see. It's like, is that pertaining to him or the team? Because that's.
I have a feeling. I don't know. I have a feeling that has to be him, because if it's under him, that has to be it.
Okay, well, that as far as being mobile, it doesn't look like he's very good at that, and that's why I said I would prefer a mobile quarterback. That way, because if the pocket collapses, he can still move and try to get positive yardage. Because if you refuse to move and just stay there as a sitting duck, then you're going to lose yardage. That's why I'd rather have a mobile quarterback. I mean, still one with an arm, but at least move when you need to. It's like, come on, you're still a football player. Move your ass. So, I mean, it's based on this, you know, as far as passing, his numbers look really good. Rushing, not so much. So I don't know if they're gonna, if they do get rid of him or get rid of Thorson. I mean, like I said, I don't know about that other guy, but maybe they could, if they keep. All right, let's do a scenario if you like. Let's do the
start, bench,
and cut, right? So let's do the hypothetical right here, right? Because based on the quarterbacks they have, I never heard of the fourth guy, so I'm guessing he's a fourth string. However, let's just go with the hypothetical with these guys. All right, let's say it's just Dak, DiNucci, and Rush. Who would you start? Who would you bench, and who would you cut?
But see, I've never seen DiNucci play, so I don't know. Well, in all honesty, I mean, based on what we saw for statistics in their college years, and considering what Dak has done in the league and what Cooper Rush, I mean, it's kind of unfair to put Cooper Rush in that conversation because he hasn't really actually played. I don't think it's a fair situation in general, because those two, Rush and DiNucci, haven't really played starter minutes in the NFL to make that claim.
Well, true.
But if we're basing it off of their college stats, let's just say that is the case. Personally, start Dak, bench DiNucci, cut Cooper Rush. Personally, if that was the case. But of course, whatever comments we get, they're probably going to state otherwise. But that's just me, based on what we just saw.
Right, of course. Well, let's check out this other guy just for the hell of it. So this guy's from Northwestern. He was picked last year in the 5th round. He was originally from Philly. I guess Philly traded him, and I guess they traded him.
Or maybe he was let go and he signed as a free agent.
Maybe. See, there's no information with him because I don't think he got a chance to play yet. But let's look at his college stuff, if there is any. Okay. So it does give I guess these videos give highlights to each player, which maybe you and I can take the time to look at each of these quarterbacks, you know, look
at some other time.
Yeah, I know. At some other time. So let's look. This guy, so all his time at Northwestern, you know, seems to be all right. I mean, he ended his career in college at a 61.1 completion percentage. and his yardage looks pretty good as far as progressing every year. He's pretty much averaged 6.5 yards. Touchdowns has been well, that looks pretty good. 22, 15, 17 interceptions. His interceptions did go up in his last 2 years, so he would need to be careful about that. Longest he's ever done is 77. Be careful about the sacks. It says his rating 121, so he's up there. He's
from a college standpoint, yeah, but I don't know. I really think I understand we're wanting to look at this, but for those for at least Thorson and Rush, I don't foresee them ever having the chance. Well, and as far as when they do work out those quarterbacks, I really foresee DiNucci standing out amongst those three if Dak doesn't come back.
Right. Well, based on the 4 that they have, because of course, you still got to get your team down to a 53-man roster, right?
Something of that nature. I can't remember.
Yeah. The exact number. So you're still going to at least have, you're going to have your starter, your backup, and I don't know if you would have a third string quarterback on the team. Probably the third guy would probably go to the practice squad, and then the fourth guy would probably be cut. But I mean, as far as I see here, the 2 ones that I think will be as far as starting and backup is Prescott and DiNucci, because they have the passing yard and they can throw, even though that can needs improvement, but they both can move when they need to move. So that's what I like. I would want a quarterback that can throw and can move when he has to. So I have a feeling it's going to be those 2. But that's just me. Like I said, it's still early. We don't know, depending on whether Dak gets his contract, and I pray that he does. It looks like those 2. But like I said, it's still up in the air. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. But it's just interesting. I was just curious. Why not look at all 4 quarterbacks that they have and see how it would be? Now, maybe you and I later can look up each of these quarterbacks, on YouTube and see how they fare and compare them, and then maybe we could do that bench, that start bench cut thing, and maybe another time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, anyway. But in all honesty, I would still want them to keep Dak, but DiNucci would probably be the best second option to have, which is probably why they drafted in case everything goes south. But yeah. But see, as far as what they drafted, it seems like a decent pickings. But again, I don't know enough about their previous draft history to make that claim, because freaking Dak and Zeke were drafted in the same year, and that led to an 11 and what is it? 11-5.
No, 13-3 season.
Yeah, it was
13-3. 13-3 seasons.
Yeah, they had a good season. So
or 13-3 and 12.
Either way, it led to a good season. So I can't really state that this is the best draft that they've had, but I don't know. I could be wrong, and hopefully you all tell us what you all think in the comments section. It seems like a pretty positive draft, don't get me wrong, but also maybe you all can tell us which team you thought had the better draft. A lot of people I've been seeing, it's between the Cowboys, the Vikings. I've seen some people say the Broncos and the Raiders. But again, I don't personally know. I didn't keep track of the whole draft. But yeah, again, I focus mainly on my Cowboys, but you all can tell me more about that. Tell us more if you guys watch the video.
I was going to say, though, I feel that Dallas needed to pick up a tackle, because like I said, Tyrone Smith has been one of the best tackles they've had, but he's been so injury prone. They need someone. That's why when I saw that they went for a wide receiver, I'm not saying that having at least a third weapon in the backfield on offense is good, but I think they should have went finding another tackle, because you're going to need that. You're going to need a strong tackle. So unless you can find one in free agency, I just feel partly that picking up another wide receiver was a waste. not saying Lamb's bad. I'm not saying that at all. It's just I feel that's not where they need improvement on the offense per se. So
I mean, hopefully it yields a very nice, positive, change for the Cowboys. But yeah, I just feel there's a lot of that is left to be desired for the defense. I mean, but they did get some decent pieces for the defense. So yeah, we'll see what happens. But I will state that it was at least a decent pickings. I would give it a B plus. I can't say an A yet because I don't know what it's going to yield. Because every year the Cowboys keep saying the same thing. Oh, we're in good hands. We're gonna go to the Super Bowl. It's like, guys, you say that, but every year it's the same bullshit. Fucking wait until they have a decent record and they get to the conference, the NFC Championship before you can make that claim.
Well, yeah, but I think it's also because now we have a competent head coach.
Hopefully it's not the same shit that happened with Parcells, who is a good coach, but he just didn't fucking have the balls to stand up to Jones.
What happened to Parcells was messed up. No, dude, Parcells ran his team the way he did. It's just Jones didn't like that. That's the same thing with Jamie Johnson, man. They ran their team. They ran the locker room the way they wanted it because they knew what they were getting. And, of course, Jones just likes to control everything. That's why he did what he did to Jimmy. That's what he did to Bill. Wade Phillips, what they did to Wade was messed up too, but he didn't have the gumption as much as
but in my opinion, Wade Phillips was decent. I think, I don't know. And this is, again, it was a rumor. But and you all can tell us in the comment section if we're wrong. But the rumor I heard, the reason why Wade Phillips was let go, because of course that one season, but because the players threw that season. That was a rumor I heard. Whether that's the case or not, it's still fucked. Like, really, you're gonna get rid of a coach because he freaking stood up for Des Bryant? Really? Because apparently they used to have this little tradition where the younger player is supposed to carry the veteran player's pads and helmet. And Des Bryant didn't want to do that. I think it was Roy Williams who went to Wade Phillips complaining about that, and Wade Phillips was like, dude, fucking get over it. Just get back on the field or whatever the fuck. But that's what I heard. I could be wrong. But that's what I was told. But
I mean, nowadays that could be considered. Isn't that considered hazing?
I don't know, man. But if it's true or not. If it's true, that's pretty stupid that the Cowboys would completely waste a season over something that's stupid. But if it's not, I don't know. I think Wade Phillips was a decent coach. I mean, he obviously has a fucking Super Bowl ring as a defensive coordinator. So I don't know, but that's just my opinion. I hope to God that this season yields some good positive results. Mike McCarthy is a great coach. He has proven that he can win a Super Bowl with a good quarterback. So let's see. Hopefully that pans out. But yeah, as far as
hopefully, man.
Yeah. As far as that's concerned, those were the two main things I wanted to talk about. What I would like to kind of talk about is two future projects that I'm doing. I'm planning on doing the playoff picture, just for the NBA once it does come back into place. My predictions as to who does what in the Western Conference and Eastern Conference. I might do a 2-parter video just so it's a little bit easier to run down. And then I'm gonna do. And this is going to be a little bit of a longer standing project because it's a bigger undertaking and it's something I'm not used to, and hopefully it comes out well. I'm going to try and do a video seeing what would have happened if Steve Nash had stayed in Dallas rather than being traded to Phoenix. If Mark Cuban had kept Nash instead of trading him away. And I kind of want to discuss that just a little bit. just kind of as a semi preview, because this got brought up on Twitter. Like a person was talking about, what would you think? Like, how many championships would the Mavericks have won if Nash had stayed? Personally, like, if we're being conservative, I'd say 2. I think they would still win 2011 if they kept Nash, but I also think they would have won 2006. I personally feel they would have won 2006 because instead of having Devin Harris, they would have had Steve Nash at point, and that's automatically way better than having Devin Harris. Maybe not defensively, but you get an extra offensive piece. And I think that would have been the difference maker between
I can kind of
winning and losing.
Agree with that.
But who knows? But
yeah,
that also,
I agree.
But that also, and at a bigger, what is it? At a less conservative prediction, 3 or 4 championships. Because, but see, then that would be a what if Dirk didn't get injured in 2003, because that was another big deal. If Dirk did not get injured, could they have beaten the Spurs that year? Like, because I think he got injured in the playoffs against the Spurs. So I don't know about that one. But as far as the third one, it would have been the one in 2007. I think with Steve Nash, they probably would have gotten out of the first round.
Yeah, I mean, it was a damn shame. They bounced back from the finals loss, and they were killing it during the regular season. And then when it gets the first round against Golden State, they get swept. It's like, dude, what the hell happened, man?
It's because they had the Warriors had Don Nelson as their coach, and he coached Dirk.
That's right.
But
that's
here's
right. That was the year was it? He left in 2005 and Avery Johnson took over. That's right.
But here's the deal, though. Like, my whole thing is, the Warriors were still a decent team. I'm not going to take anything away from Baron Davis and those guys because they were a good team. But I feel if they had Steve Nash, I think that would have helped them be more positive in that series, and I think they could have potentially won it because Steve Nash is a better.
He's a playmaker.
He's a better distributor of the ball, but maybe they wouldn't, because if you think about it, he didn't shoot as much as he probably should have. And again, I've mentioned that video of Rusty Buckets in a previous podcast, but yeah, and you all can go check that one out as well. But yeah, I just feel maybe that would have been the difference at that point. But hopefully when I do create the video, I'll get in more depth as far as statistics. Maybe I'll just kind of I don't know, because it's hard to predict something. A lot of people use NBA 2K to kind of make those predictions, but that's just a lot of work, and I don't know how to completely go about doing that. So what I might do is I might kind of just read through the trades at those moments throughout time and see how it would have worked at those points. And maybe I would, because I think if Nash had stayed, he probably still would have had very similar stats to his MVP season. But I think he wouldn't have gotten MVP with Dirk being there, because Dirk was still a pretty good player. But that's just me. That's how I see it. I don't if they stayed together, I don't see Dirk or Nash getting an MVP, because it's hard to get an MVP.
You don't think so?
I don't think so. It's really hard to get an MVP when you have an all-star player on your, like when you are an all-star player yourself and you have a secondary all-star player on your team. It's really hard. Like it's not uncommon, but it's not always. Yeah, it's not always likely. That's just how I see it. But like again, I'm gonna get into more in that. I don't want to give too much away. But those are my opinions on it thus far. And hopefully when I do create this video, and granted, it will take some time, so please bear with me. When it gets up, it will get up. But those are my 2 projects, or technically 3 if you want to split the playoff prediction videos. But yeah, those are the projects I'm wanting to work upon to kind of create some more content for the channel. And hopefully when that comes to fruition, y'all will watch those as well. And hopefully you liked today's episode. Let us know what you think in the comments section. Suscríbete a mi canal y hasta el próximo, mi gente. Adiós.
Adios. Okay.